It's Ramon again, and I wanted to talk a little bit now about some of the work I did with synthesis. And I wanted to build everything from scratch. I didn't want to use any preset patches and any kind of digital synths or anything like that. Um, most of the sounds that you'll hear that are not Kronos Quartet or voice samples are coming from this little box right here. This is the Dave Smith Tetra. It's a really powerful little polysynth. Um, you can read all about it on their website, but I'm going to show you a little bit of how I got some of the sounds, or how I put together a couple of these sounds. Um, there's a fairly common synth patch that you find in a lot of music. There's this sort of pulsating sound that you can get. Let's switch over to the computer screen here, and this is Native Instruments Massive. It's a digital synthesizer that's very powerful. It's got some step sequencers, as you can see here. You can program a bunch of different LFOs and envelopes to basically any knob that you see on the screen here. It's also good for performing live because you've got these macros down here that you can set ahead of time. I'm not using the synthesizer in any of these pieces for the Kronos Quartet, but I just wanted to play you a sound that it's just a preset called Sideliner in Massive. And you notice there's this kind of arpeggiated sound. It's not really an arpeggio, but it's actually a filter sweep. The filter is being controlled by this LFO. This step sequencer. So you can see these different steps in the road. I can change it. And if you know anything about Massive, you can see that number 8 here is referring to this number 8, which is in fact the step sequencer. There's a number of other LFOs that we can set ahead of time. Anyway, I just wanted to use that as sort of a jumping off point because I wanted to use the Dave Smith Tetra to create a sound that was kind of similar to this. And the uh, the the cool thing about the Dave Smith Tetra is they teamed up with a company called Sound Tower to build this on-screen editor. So this is actually the editor for this little box over here, and it gives you a lot of the controls that you can't see right away in the on the synthesizer itself. There's only you can see there's just a handful of knobs here. There's a couple of buttons, but basically everything is controllable just by this uh, from this on-screen interface here. And so let me turn up the volume of the Tetra here. And you can see that I've actually put together a sound in advance that has a very similar quality to the one we heard with the Massive synthesizer. Well, let me play you a more basic sound here. Okay, so what this has a couple of different layers to it, and basically what I wanted to do is have something that was a specific tempo, was basically playing about the same speed as that the Massive synthesizer that you just heard. And so I put together a really basic sound to begin with. Okay, nothing really special about that sound in general. Notice that there's a sequence tempo up here in the right-hand corner. So I have that set to 155, which is the same as the other one. This layer is also set to 155. And down here is the LFO control. And I just wanted sort of these random filter sweeps. Okay, I just wanted to be at a specific tempo, so I have the knob turned all the way up here, which actually synchronizes with the tempo. I've got the sync turned on here. It's set to a random waveform, and it's controlling the low-pass filter. So it's basically turning this knob really fast. Okay, it's moving around at 155 BPM. So that's the first step of how I achieve that sound. And then the other thing I wanted to do is change the amount that it was turning the knob. So I mean, it's hard to visualize this, but basically it's, it's turning it sort of in this basic range here. Okay. Then I set another LFO. This one is not tempo synced or anything like that. It's just simply a triangle wave. It's basically rising and falling and rising and falling at a very specific tempo. However, that's unrelated to the 155 BPM. And it's set up to work with the LFO amount. Okay, this LFO amount right here. Okay, so it's basically tweaking this knob here. So it's almost as if I did something like that, but it's doing it for me. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this up here. And then same thing with the second layer. And so that was one way that I put together this sound. I wanted, something that had a pulsation to it, and so this was a nice simple way to achieve that sound. It gives us rhythm. It gives us kind of a dark, brooding sound, if you will. There's one problem with it though. And the problem is that I'm unable to change the tempo on the fly. So I can change the tempo, and the problem is I've got to change both of the tempos, layer 1, layer 2. And so this posed a big problem. I can't do this from Ableton Live. It's just not a possibility with this software. And so what I wanted to do is create something that was very basic and have a filter effect that was produced in real time by the computer. So I'm going to switch gears here. I'm going to go back to this really basic waveform, and I'm going to turn to the Moog Fogers. Okay, over here we've got the Moog pedals. I demonstrated these a little bit with the ring modulator in another video. In this video, what I want to do is show you a very similar type of effect using the low pass filter. The low pass filter is the one on the very end here. This device is an analog low pass filter. It's really great. It's got a great sound to it. It sort of makes up for so much digital gear. It has a nice warm sound to it, and the problem with the Moog Fogers is, at least the three that I have, they're all completely analog. They have inputs and outputs for the audio signal, but they also have control voltage inputs and outputs. Which, if you know anything about control voltage, it's just another way of controlling the gear. I can set these LFOs that are similar to the LFOs that are on the screen. So the next challenge for me was trying to figure out how to use my computer to control the Moog Fogers. This was somewhat challenging to figure out, but there's some nice there have been some nice steps forward in technology that allow for this. So let me get things set up here, and I'll show you exactly how I achieve this.